Welcome back everyone, I'm Ryan, and today I want to do a different kind of video. Instead of highlighting a new recipe to share, I want to take a moment to talk about the creative process of how to make your own recipes. So one of the things that you can do is really simple, is you take a already well-known recipe and just change one ingredient to make it something a little different. And one of the easiest ways to do that is to use a different kind of syrup. And that is going to be the focus of today's video. This right here is freshly picked basil from out of my garden. And just as a quick little aside, if you've never done any gardening yourself and you're thinking about it, herbs are the best way to get started. Like basil and mint are two of the easiest plants to grow out in your garden, and trust me, they will make you feel like you know what you're doing because they're very low maintenance. But in any case, basil is a great herb. It's used in a lot of Italian dishes. It's just got a great smell, and I absolutely love it. But one of the things that I've recently realized that I can do is I can make a basil syrup out of this. So here's what you do. It's actually, well, like the name says, it's a simple syrup, right? So start with a simple syrup, equal parts sugar and water, and then you get your basil and you put however many leaves you want into it. So after all the sugar has dissolved, you put, however many leaves you want in there to, get the right consistency and the right flavor that you want. And then you let it simmer for about 5 to 10 minutes. So for this little bottle, what I did is I used a half cup of sugar and a half cup of water, and then after all the sugar dissolved, I put in something like 10 to 12 basil leaves. I don't remember exactly how many, because I want a really strong basil flavor. And then you basically watch it and make sure that you don't have too much boiling away, because you don't want to reduce how much water is in there. And then once it's all done, the leaves all shrivel up, and so you know it's done and all the flavors in there. And the sugar itself, or not the sugar, the syrup itself takes on this slight greenish tint. I don't know if you can see right here, but this is not a clear, simple syrup. There is a slight greenish yellowish tint to it, letting you know that this is a basil syrup. And then you just strain it out, you let it cool, put it in the fridge, and then bingo, you've got yourself a basil syrup. And then you can use this in basically anything, right? So next week I'm going to show you how to use it in a more complicated recipe. But for today, we're going to keep things simple, and we're going to do a basic gimlet. But instead of using a simple syrup, we're going to use this basil syrup, thus making a basil gimlet. And it's going to be really, really good because the basil flavor's got this really great savory aspect to it. And then the gin, it's got those great juniper forward flavors, especially if you're using a London dry gin. And they're going to go really well together to make just a really different and interesting drink that is obviously going to be different from the standard, but it's something else just to add some more complexity to it, and then hopefully that will inspire you to think of other ways that you can use basil in your recipes. Okay, so for this, all you need are 3 ingredients. You got your gin, you got lime juice, and your basil syrup. We're going to be serving this up in a coupe, so go ahead and get that in the freezer, and let's build. All right, here we go. All we're going to do is take 3/4 of an ounce of our basil syrup, follow that up with an entire ounce of lime juice, and last but not least, 2 ounces of your London dry gin. And it is that simple. All right, let's add ice and shake. All right, let's do this. All right, rescue your glass from the freezer and let's double strain. And here it is, the basil gimlet. Let's take a taste. as expected, the classic gin and lime combination for the classic gimlet flavor, but the basil syrup just adds that extra savory aspect to it, and it plays really well with the juniper from the gin. So if you're looking for something just a little different, this is a quick and easy way to make something make something more complex, a little more interesting, and then hopefully this inspires you to go out and make your own drinks by just using a different kind of syrup, and it opens up a whole new world of possibilities. And like I said at the beginning of the video, stay tuned for next week because I'm going to show you a more complicated version of all of this using a basil syrup, and just as a little hint, it is inspired by our good friend Yoda. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate all of you, and enjoy the rest of your day. Cheers!
Said